Every day, you walk through a world silently ruled by one invisible force: respect. It's what determines how people treat you, how they talk to you, and whether they listen when you speak. But here's the brutal truth most people never learn. Respect is never given freely. It's earned. Through strategy, psychology, and power. Centuries ago, one man decoded the game of human behavior better than anyone else: Niccolò Machiavelli. He studied kings, generals, and rulers, and discovered how influence, fear, and admiration truly work. His lessons weren't written for politicians, only they were written for you. Because whether you lead a country or just want to lead your own life, the same psychological laws apply. So today you're about to learn 18 Machiavellian psychological tricks designed to make anyone respect you. These aren't manipulative tactics for evil. They're strategies for power, confidence, and self-mastery. Because when you understand the human mind, you stop being a pawn and start being the player. So get ready. Let's start with the first two laws of respect, the foundation of your new presence. The kind that makes people feel your strength the moment you walk into a room. Part 1. Command respect without saying a word. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But most people misunderstand this line. He wasn't saying you should scare others. He was saying project power before you even speak. In modern life, this means learning nonverbal dominance, the kind of psychological energy that demands respect without a single word. Here's how it works. When you walk, walk slower. Fast movement signals anxiety. Slow, deliberate motion signals control. When you speak, pause before answering. That moment of silence builds tension and shows confidence. And when someone challenges you, don't overreact. Keep your face calm, your tone neutral. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. People fear uncertainty more than anger. The calm man is the dangerous man. Watch powerful people in any room, their posture, their tone, their stillness. They move like time bends around them. That's not coincidence. It's psychology. Neuroscience shows that the brain subconsciously associates slowness with authority. It's why kings walk slowly into courtrooms, why CEOs pause before they speak, and why military leaders use silence to dominate a room. Here's a Machiavellian trick you can use today. When entering a group or conversation, say nothing for the first 10 seconds. Observe, scan, let others speak first. This subtle move makes everyone's attention shift toward you because silence forces curiosity. They wonder, who is this person who doesn't need to prove himself instantly? That curiosity becomes respect. Because the moment people feel your self-control, they sense your value. And in the modern world, where everyone fights for attention, the one who remains centered becomes magnetic. Remember this. Respect isn't earned by noise, it's earned by composure. You can't demand it, but you can make others feel it. Machiavelli would say, appear powerful even before you are. Because the appearance of strength often becomes real strength. So from this moment forward, make silence your secret weapon. Be slow, deliberate, and unreadable, and people will unconsciously respect your presence. Because power begins where words end. Part 2. Control perception, control respect. Machiavelli taught that the most powerful weapon in human psychology is perception. People don't see the world as it is, they see it as they believe it is. So if you can control their belief about you, you control how much respect they give you. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few know what you really are." That's not deception, that's strategy. Because in life, perception becomes reality. Think about it. If you walk into a room looking confident, people assume you have reasons to be. If you speak calmly under pressure, they assume you've faced worse before. And if you carry yourself with purpose, people automatically raise your status in their minds before they even know you. This is the Machiavellian law of image control. Mastering the art of how others perceive your value. It's not about faking. It's about aligning your outer image with your inner potential. Start with your appearance. Not luxury, not fashion precision. Your clothes should look intentional, not accidental. Every detail, your tone, your posture, your eye contact sends signals, and those signals build your image. Next, your speech. Never explain too much. Never justify unnecessarily. The more you talk, the more you leak power. Machiavelli observed that rulers who spoke too freely lost influence because mystery breeds respect. So talk less, but make every word count. Here's a psychological trick. When someone asks about your goals or plans, don't give the full story. Give half and smile. That half answer triggers curiosity, and curiosity fuels respect. Because when people don't fully understand you, they fill in the gaps with admiration or fear. Perception is not about being fake, it's about owning your narrative. If you don't define who you are, the world will define it for you. And usually they'll define you smaller than you deserve. So be deliberate. Craft your image with intention. Because as Machiavelli taught, men in general judge more by the eye than by the hand. They believe what they see, so make them see power. When people respect your image, they start respecting your words. And when they respect your words, they start following your lead. That's how the game works. The world doesn't reward truth, it rewards perceived strength. And those who master perception rule it. Part 3. Master emotional detachment. The power of indifference. Machiavelli understood something most people never grasp. He who controls his emotions controls the world. When you react emotionally, you surrender power. When you remain calm, you dominate silently. Because emotions expose your weaknesses, and in the game of respect, exposure is death. Think about it, how many times have people lost respect for someone simply because they overreacted? An insult, a rumor, a rejection, and they exploded. They showed that someone else could control them. Machiavelli would call that the fatal flaw of rulers. To let your inner world be ruled by external events. So here's the third Machiavellian trick. Be emotionally untouchable. Show empathy, not attachment. Show understanding, not reaction. When people try to provoke you, and they will smile. Not a sarcastic grin, but a calm, unbothered expression that says, "You don't affect me." That reaction or lack of reaction makes people uncomfortable. And that's where respect is born. Because humans instinctively respect what they can't control. The less people can shake you, the more they subconsciously see you as powerful. You see, emotional detachment doesn't mean being cold or robotic. It means being centered in chaos. It's like a lion surrounded by noise but focused only on its prey. When someone insults you, they want control over your mind. When you respond with calm indifference, you deny them that control and take back the upper hand. Machiavelli observed this in politics, but it applies to daily life too. In an argument, whoever keeps composure wins. In business, whoever stays rational under stress rises faster. In relationships, whoever shows emotional balance earns respect effortlessly. So train yourself to pause before reacting. When anger hits, breathe. When someone disrespects you, let silence be your weapon. Let them drown in their own noise while you remain untouchable. Because in the end, control is the highest form of dominance. And once you master emotional detachment, no one can take your power because you own yourself completely. Part 4. The law of selective respect. Value must be scarce. Machiavelli said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." In the psychology of respect, this translates to a timeless truth. People value what is rare and take for granted what is constant. If you give everyone your time, your attention, and your approval, people stop respecting you. Because abundance breeds familiarity, and familiarity kills value. You must become selectively available, not arrogant, but disciplined with your presence. Your time is your throne, not everyone deserves a seat at it. When you make yourself too accessible, people subconsciously lower your worth. It's human nature. Scarcity creates demand even in human relationships. That's why leaders don't chase meetings. Meetings chase them. That's why high-status individuals don't respond instantly. They move on their own schedule, because they understand that time is a signal of power. Here's a Machiavellian move. When someone disrespects your boundaries, withdraw politely. Don't argue, don't explain, disappear. Your absence will speak louder than any confrontation. In that silence, they'll feel your value. Because losing access to you is the sharpest lesson a person can experience. Another trick: don't try to be liked, aim to be respected. Machiavelli noted that being loved often makes you weak, but being respected keeps you secure. Why? Because respect creates boundaries, and boundaries create value. So stop saying yes to everything. Stop replying instantly. Stop trying to prove your worth to those who haven't earned it. When your attention becomes a privilege, your presence becomes power. And when your presence is power, people treat you differently. They adjust, they wait, they try harder. That's how Machiavellian psychology works. By limiting access, you increase desire. By controlling your availability, you command respect. Remember, scarcity isn't rudeness. It's strategy. You're not rejecting people. You're teaching them to value your worth. That's not manipulation, that's self-respect. So from today onward, make your time expensive, because the world will only respect what you make costly. Part 5. The power of unpredictability. Keep them guessing. Machiavelli's greatest weapon wasn't strength, it was mystery. He believed that predictability breeds weakness, while unpredictability breeds fear and fascination. He wrote, "Men are less careful about offending one who makes himself loved than one who makes himself feared." In modern terms, that means don't let people fully figure you out. Predictable people are easy to manipulate. Unpredictable people are respected, because uncertainty creates psychological leverage. If people always know how you'll react, they can control you. But if they can't predict your next move, they start respecting your boundaries even if they don't understand them. Here's how to use this Machiavellian law in real life. Occasionally break your patterns. If you're always quiet, speak boldly one day. If you're always available, vanish for a while. If people expect your validation, withhold it. This unpredictability forces others to stay alert around you. They become cautious not because they fear you, but because they respect your psychological balance. Human nature craves certainty, and when you deny it, people see you as powerful. Because only those who have control over themselves can afford to be unpredictable. This strategy doesn't mean chaos or dishonesty, it means intentional mystery. Keep certain things private. Don't post everything online. Don't share your every thought, your every plan, or your every emotion. Mystery is magnetic. When people can't decode you, they start imagining greatness in the gaps. They start thinking, he must know something I don't. That illusion alone builds respect. Machiavelli knew that rulers maintained authority not by revealing everything, but by keeping the crowd guessing. Even in leadership, unpredictability creates control, because those around you stay careful with their words, cautious with their actions, and aware of your potential. So ask yourself, are you predictable or powerful? Because in a world obsessed with attention, the one who hides their moves becomes the one everyone watches. Respect doesn't just come from what people know about you. It often comes from what they can't figure out. Be consistent in your principles, but unpredictable in your expression. That's how you stay respected and untouchable. Part 6. Influence through strategic silence. Silence is not weakness. It is the loudest sound in the psychology of power. Machiavelli understood that words can be weapons, but silence is the strategy that decides when to strike. Most people speak to be heard. The powerful speak only when it matters. You see, in conversation, silence builds pressure. It makes people reveal more than they should. It makes others uncomfortable, and in that discomfort, they expose their true intentions. Machiavelli once wrote, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." What he meant was the wise man doesn't rush to speak, because words are commitments, and commitments once made can limit your control. So here's the 6th Machiavellian psychological trick. Master the art of strategic silence. When you pause before responding, you project intelligence and dominance. When you stay silent after a question, people fill the space with their own nervous energy, and in that moment, you hold the power. Think of it like this. In every conversation, there are two types of people. The one who chases understanding and the one who controls it. The talker reveals. The listener rules. Use silence as your mirror. It reflects who others truly are. When someone tries to manipulate you, don't argue. Just look at them. Calm, collected, unreadable. Their mind will crumble under the weight of your stillness. Psychologically, silence activates what experts call the cognitive tension loop. When someone expects a reply and doesn't get it, their brain scrambles to interpret the meaning. They start imagining your thoughts, and in doing so, they hand you control of the narrative. That's why Machiavellian leaders rarely explain their every move. They let people wonder, and that wondering becomes respect because uncertainty always elevates status. From now on, stop explaining yourself. Let your silence be your confidence. Because silence isn't the absence of power, it is power. Concentrated. People respect those who don't need to prove anything. So use your words like currency. The fewer you spend, the more valuable they become. Remember this rule. When your silence makes others nervous, you've already won. Part 7. The law of self-respect. Command yourself first. Machiavelli's greatest insight wasn't about ruling others. It was about ruling oneself. Because no man can command respect externally until he has mastered it internally. You can learn every psychological trick in the world, but if you secretly doubt yourself, your energy will expose it. Confidence isn't performed, it's felt, deeply and silently. Here's the seventh and most important Machiavellian law. Respect yourself more than anyone else does. When you respect yourself, you stop chasing validation. You stop begging for attention. You stop over-explaining to people who don't even deserve your time. Machiavelli believed that self-control is the foundation of all power. Because if your emotions, habits, and mindset are disciplined, no one can shake you. You become a fortress. Respect starts in small daily acts. The way you walk, the tone you use, the standards you uphold. You teach people how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. If you accept disrespect in silence, you approve it. If you overgive your energy, you signal weakness. If you break your own rules, the world breaks them too. So create personal laws in your code, and never break it for temporary comfort or validation. For example, if someone crosses your boundary, call it out once. If someone tries to manipulate you, walk away. If a situation drains your energy, leave. Because every time you betray your own standards, you trade power for peace. And that peace is fake, it never lasts. But when you enforce your boundaries with quiet certainty, people adjust their behavior. They'll test you less. They'll listen more. Because deep down they can feel it, you respect yourself. Machiavelli wrote, "He who controls others may be powerful, but he who has mastered himself is mightier still." That's the ultimate Machiavellian truth. Power starts with self-command. The world respects those who move with purpose, not those who move for approval. So stop trying to prove yourself and start embodying yourself. When your mind aligns with your standards, your presence becomes undeniable. People will notice even if you never say a word. Because self-respect radiates silently, and silence is the language of power. Ending. The Machiavellian mindset for modern power. You've just learned 7 of the most powerful Machiavellian psychological laws of respect. But remember, these aren't tricks to manipulate people. They're strategies to awaken the power you already have. Because in a world where most people seek attention, you will stand apart by seeking respect. In a society obsessed with being liked, you will rise by being valued. And in a culture that rewards noise, your silence will become your signature. Machiavelli didn't teach cruelty, he taught awareness. He showed that power isn't evil. It's neutral. It becomes dark only in weak hands. But in strong hands, in disciplined, self-respecting hands, it becomes wisdom. So here's your final challenge. Stop asking for respect. Start earning it through your presence, your patience, and your principles. Every time you choose calm over chaos, you gain respect. Every time you choose scarcity over desperation, you gain respect. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you gain respect. And when you combine all these laws, emotional control, scarcity, mystery, silence, and self-respect, you become something rare. A person of power in a world of noise. That's the true Machiavellian path. Not to manipulate others, but to master yourself so completely that the world naturally follows. So walk tall, speak less, watch more. And remember, the loud seek attention, the calm command respect.